Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my apparent obsession with PVC plastic gift cards. These are universally available thin PVC plastic gift cards with no value on them, with a magnetic stripe usually, that can be obtained from a variety of places. My favorite spot is to go to restaurants, which I will not name, but you can figure out easily, that will have typically a stack of these posted at the register without any instructions whatsoever, no prices, no advice as to what they're for, and you can only assume they're there to be taken for whatever need you have for them. And I use them for lots of things in RC. One of my favorite things to use them for is as a motor mount. Here's a Delta Wing plane that I've got that I've secured a plastic gift card at the nose with hot glue, or better still, Gorilla Glue, directly to foam, which the paper and tape has been removed from, so the foam is actually exposed under this gift card. And then to that gift card you can use 3M Scotch double-sided heavy-duty tape to attach your actual motor mount itself. So it's very secure, but actually removable with either patience and just gradually peeling that off, or you can actually also use dust off held upside down and sprayed right at the junction like that to chill the tape, and the tape will actually lose some of its adherence temporarily, and you can just pop that right off. They're also outstanding for making control horns with, just bent into a 90-degree angle with the hole drilled at the necessary location for control horns. And I typically like to put a little slit in the control surface, aileron, elevator, rudder, whatever, and stick this right through and glue it to the control surface, and then install your push rod through the hole. And that is a very economical way to do that. I use them a lot as well for battery mounts, where I'll take one of the gift cards and cut it lengthwise about the width of the battery, fold up the rear part if needed, especially for hand launching planes, and fold a little lip up right there, put a Velcro strap around it, some Scotch heavy duty tape behind and in front of the Velcro strap, and stick it down right where you need it. It's also removable for shifting the battery forward and aft as needed for center of gravity changes. And they often will break away in a crash nicely, leaving the fuselage more or less unscathed. A lot of times if I'm flying one of my planes like this Fugly Jet, that I usually land on the grass, but I'm going to land on pavement or asphalt, I'll take a couple of cards with some two-sided foam tape and stick them on the bottom like that, just so that it doesn't tear up the bottom of the plane when this lands on the asphalt. It'll scratch up the cards instead of the actual bottom of the plane. These plastic gift cards are also very useful for forming butt joints between two pieces of foam board, where you can take the card itself and hot glue or Gorilla Glue it across that joint and provide a nice slick, thin but strong and very slightly flexible joint there without adding a whole lot of thickness, such as if you put an extra piece of foam board right here. They're great for reinforcing foam board in places that you predict there's going to be some abuse or abrasion or bending force. Here's a place where I've put it in the end of a fuselage tube that I can use to mount an FPV camera right here, or a motor mount accordingly. I just sort of pre-installed the card right there with some Gorilla Glue right against the foam. I have also used these at the field as an emergency control surface area increaser. Let's say you've got a rudder that's not performing as you need and you're at the field, you can just take some two-sided foam tape, stick that right to your control surface, and you've just increased the surface area of it. And try it out and see how it works. If you don't like it, you can just snap it right off. If you have a fuselage tube member that you need to cross brace for some additional rigidity, you can cut a piece and put it right across there, but it still allows maximum airflow and or servo wiring, whatever you need to get by there without using a piece of foam board. I also use these a lot in applying packing tape to foam board, usually pre-applying it to whole sheets, and using the card itself to kind of squeegee down the tape as I go along the foam board to help it lie down flat with a minimal amount of bubbling and wrinkles. If you ever use the kissing tape trailing edge technique that I've described, using something like one of these cards to squeegee down that trailing surface to get a nice, smooth, sharp edge is really important, and these are a very useful implement for that operation. These are 2 inches by 3.5 inches long, and between 20 and 30 mil thick, and they're essentially identical to credit cards except they have no debossing or numbers on them, and they do have the magnetic stripe typically. And these are available pretty freely from a lot of vendors and restaurants before or after use. One of my favorite places to get these is at a mid-range walk-up type restaurant, or a lot of times buffets will have these in a little rack sitting in front of the register or at the hostess station, and they don't have any instructions about what they're for or that they cost anything or that you need to do anything special other than to just kind of help yourself to a small stack of them. A lot of times these can also be found on top of gas station gas pumps where they've been swiped and used and then just left on top of the gas pump, and you can grab them from there. Also look in the garbage cans, around registers, or ask the cashier actually if there are any that you can snag that way. Of course, if you've been a good kid around Christmas time, maybe somebody has gotten you a gift card like this from one of these fine establishments, and you can go ahead and use the card and use the credit and take home the actual plastic card with you and build a plane with it. There are also online vendors for these cards that will happily send you a free sample book. This one has 6 cards in it of varying thickness and configuration, and that was just free for the asking, so that's another idea. So hopefully that'll give you a couple of creative ideas about how you can use these plastic gift cards, and go ahead and respectfully acquire some from your local retailer or restaurant and spend a little money there, and I'm sure they'll be happy to have you repeat business, and take care.